Okay. Uh, okay, we'll start, of course, and I will share my screen with you. Uh, later.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? Okay. Hello, everybody. Can you see my screen now?
Yes,
Yes,
you can see.
You can see that. Okay. Now this time we are going to learn the chapter 7. That is the economic growth and international trade. In recent years, I found a very interesting story that most of the students they like most of the students like this topic very much while doing their thesis. Okay, they mostly they discussed the relations between the international trade and economic growth. Uh, they normally find that the international trade has the positive effect or influence on the economic growth for a nation. Okay, as now in this class, we will see how does the international trade affect the economic growth and how to make analysis on that. Now, in this chapter, we are going to learn now in brief introduction. The most trade theory discussed so far is static. In nature, it's static, not dramatic, not the dynamic situation. Uh, this is the first point. And the next point is that, however, the factoring dormant technology and tastes can change over time, changing a nation's comparative advantage. Here, uh, I think most of the students, when they discuss this topic, they often take the whole international trade as a whole a research target. Again, okay, actually, we should we should analyze this type of questions in detail, such as how does the factor endowments affect the a nation's competitive advantage and is import and export mood or a nation or national or nation's international trade. And also, in the last class, we discussed the technology, the interaction between the technology and the international trade. Okay, and few people makes the research from the perspective of the tastes, or that is the preference of the customers. Uh, uh, how does the customer's taste affect the national competitive advantage, and further influence the nation's international trade. Okay. And also changes affecting dormant technology tastes affect nation's production frontier of a curve, volume, and terms of trade and gains from trade. Okay. Yes, the terms of trade. We have learned it in our previous class, and I gave a detailed explanation on the terminology of the term, on the not the, on the terms of trade, the gains from trade. Now, what are the growth of factors? Growth of factors, the factors of production. Okay, the factors of production. It is a very very okay. Now that is the increase in labor and the capital. We use the L, the capitalized L to represent the labor, okay? And use the K, the capitalized K as to represent the capital, okay? Increase in labor and capital, shape the production frontier outward. That means the higher the productivity and the more the production, okay? Type and degree, a moment later. Sorry about that. Okay, the balanced growth. What is the balance outward? Okay, the type and degree of shift depend on the rate of growth. Okay, here comes the two very important research findings or research conclusion. Okay, the balanced growth is when L and K grow at the same rate, okay, at the same speed, okay, shifting frontier out evenly in all directions, okay, okay. Slope on each frontier are equal, where cut by a ray from the region, okay, by a ray from the region. Okay, here are the two figures. Here he explain the growth of labor and the capital over time. Okay. After class, I will upload these two figures. In our WeChat group. Okay. The Reccession theorem. Okay. So at constant commodity prices. Okay. An increase in the endowment of one factor will increase by a greater proportion the output of the commodity intensive in that factor, and will reduce the output of the other commodity. Okay, that means if the commodity price keep constant, okay, and increase the endowment of one factor will increase by a greater proportion and output of commodity intensive in that factor, and will reduce the output of the other commodity. Okay. For example, if only L, that is labor, okay, the labor grows in nation one, okay, the output of commodity X, the labor intensive commodity, expands more than proportionally. Well, the output of commodity Y, the capital intensive commodity, will decline at the constant Px and Py. Okay, I think it is easily to be understood. Okay, that is a shift between the labor intensive products and the capital intensive product. Okay, the two types of products have the negative relations, negative interrelations. Okay, the negative one, not the positive one. Okay. To some degree, it has some kind of so-called, that is the how to say that, substitution effect. Okay. Here the growth of labor only and the Reccession theorem. Okay, we use this figure to illustrate the shift between the labor-intensive commodities and the capital-intensive commodities. Okay, all technical progress, okay, reduces the amount of the labor and capital required to produce any given level of output. Okay, that means the technical progress plays a very important role in the productivity. Okay, it is, I think that is the effective production. Okay, just because of technical progress. Okay, some of the manufacturing industry, they use their robots, okay, or a assembly line, okay, and reduce the labor deployed in the process of production, and also it will save the capital investment. Okay. Okay. Three different types of reccession technical progress. Okay. One, the neutral increases productivity of labor and capital in same proportion. Okay, so the proportion between the capital and the labor remains the same after the technical progress as before. Okay, and unchanged relative factor prices. Okay, that is the neutral. The second one, that is the labor saving, increases productivity of K proportionately more than the productivity of the labor of the L. So the capital is substituted for L in production, and K divided L rises and unchanged proportion between the W and R. That is the capital saving. Okay, the capital saving. The capital saving increases productivity of labor proportionally more than the productivity of the capital. So L is substituted for K in production, and LK rises at unchanged W divided R. That is the three different types of reccession technical progress. Okay, that means there is a substitution effect between the labor intensive one and the capital intensive one. Okay, the same rate of neutral technical progress in production of both commodities has the same effect on the production frontier as balanced factor growth. Here, we emphasize the following points. Okay, the same rate, that is the neutral technical progress, not aggressive and not conservative, it's a neutral. Okay, has the same effect on the production frontier as balanced factor growth. Okay. Another one is the production frontier will shift out evenly in all directions at the same rate at which technical progress takes place. Okay. Here, that is the neutral technical progress. Okay. We can see the change of the production frontier curve called curve. Okay, a small country. Okay, growth and trade, the small country case. Okay. Okay, a small country is too small to affect the relative commodity price at which it trades. So the nation's terms trade remain constant. The small country. Okay. Often, I think that is the literatures tell us that to develop the international trade is useful to first to promote the economic growth for the small size nations. Okay. Growth is portrayed if output of a nation's export commodity grows proportionally more than the output of import commodity at the constant relative commodity prices, leading to greater than proportionate the expansion of trade. Otherwise, growth is anti-trade or neutral. Okay, growth is pro-trade. That means export more and import less. Okay. Production is pro-trade if the output of nations export commodities growth proportionally more than the output of import commodity. Just now I mentioned. Consumption is pro-trade if the nation's consumption of its import commodity increase proportionally more than consumption of its export commodity. Okay. Well, now if you want to do some research in this topic, that is the relations between the trade and growth for a nation, you have to take this kind of elements into the consideration, and it will help you to make a very deep research or profound research. Okay. 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 Growth and trade, the small country case. Okay. What happens to the volume of trade in the process of growth depends on the net result of the production and consumption effects. Okay. The pro-trade, that is the production consumption. The anti-trade, that is the production consumption, that the impact on trade volume. Trade expands proportionally faster than output. Okay. You know, in the before the I think before the COVID-19, I think the global trade expands or grows faster than the global economic growth. Okay. If you anti-trade consumption, trade expense proportionally less than the output. Okay. Okay. That is if you both have production and consumption, trade growth depends on the net effect of opposing forces. Okay. And the trade growth, the next one is the consumptions per trade and production anti-trade. The trade growth depends on the net effect of opposing forces. If it is neutral for these two elements, that is the production and consumption, okay, the trade expands at the same rate as the output. Okay. Now, just now we talk about the economic growth and the relations between the economic growth and international trade. Okay, we take the small country as the example to illustrate that. Okay, and now we come to see what is going to take place for the large countries. Okay. Okay, what is the large country? A large country is sufficiently large to affect the relative commodity price at which it trades. Okay, a large is the one well, big enough to affect the relative commodity prices at which it trades. So the nation's terms of trade can change. Terms of trade effect. Okay. If growth expands the nation's volume of trade, okay, at constant prices, terms of trade deteriorate. Okay. If growth reduces the nation's volume of trade, it reduces the nation's volume of trade at constant prices, terms of trade improve. Okay. The wealth effect. Change in output per worker as a result of growth. Okay, that is we take the per worker into the consideration. Okay, we use the a unit change to describe the wealth effect. Okay, along positive welfare effect improves welfare and vice versa. Okay. Impact on welfare depends on net effect of wealth effect and terms of trade effect. Okay. Wealth effect thus increase. Okay. The terms of trade effect improve. Okay. The welfare declines. Well, you can see this table after the class. Okay. Okay. It means rising growth. Okay. If the wealth effect is positive, but the terms of trade deteriorates so much that a nation's welfare declines. Nation experiences immense rising growth. Okay, more likely to occur in developing nations, although not prevalent in the real world. We can see the factor growth and trade, that is the small country the case. We can see that that is the international trade does good, often does good to the small country. And this is we can see the nation one, okay, and the expansion of their production frontier. This is a large country case, the large country case. Okay, here the growth, the change in taste and trade in both nations, okay, with balanced growth and neutral technical progress in both commodities in both nations. Both nations alpha curves will shift outward and move closer to the axis marrying a nation's export commodity. We can see the change from the graph, okay? The volume trade expands. The terms of trade either does not change or improve for one nation and deteriorates for the other. Okay? This range depends on the shape of each nation's alpha curve and the degree by which each alpha curve rotates. Okay? Growth, change in taste, and trade in both nations. Okay. With growth or change in taste in both nations alpha curves will shift, changing volume or terms of trade. Okay. Actually, this paragraph is illustrate the graphs. The last, the previous slides of the slides of the figure. Okay, the figure. Okay. A shift of a shift of the alpha curve toward the axis measuring the export commodity will increase trade at the constant prices and improve terms of trade. Okay. An opposite. Okay, an opposite shift of the alpha curve will reduce volume of trade at constant prices and improve terms of trade. Here we can see the growth and trade in both nations. I upload this in our WeChat group. Where is the master? Melinda? Okay. Okay.
Yes, you can see.
Oh, you can see that? Yeah, Richard Group. Okay. Is there anybody who want to deliver the speech? Is there anybody who did not deliver this presentation? No?
I haven't yet.
Who?
To shooting, I haven't done yet.
You haven't done yet. Okay. How about this time? How about this time? Can you do
It's
it?
okay. I
Okay.
can do it now.
Okay. Now you can start.
Okay. Is everyone can see my screen?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay. Based on last week, last two classes, you have given us assignment about the how to deal with the contradiction between the environment and development. And this is my slide. And good evening, everyone. I'm Chen Xiuting, or you can call me Eddie. Okay, the answer for this question is sustainable development. And what is the concept of the sustainable development? Later, I will go on in my speech here. I will have 4 categories of my content. The first one is the concept of sustainable development. Second is the importance of the sustainable development. Third is the sustainable development goals. And last but not least is the challenges of the sustainable development. The first one, concept of the sustainable development. The concept of the sustainable development is grew out by one of the terms called limit to growth, where it's started to debate during the early of 1970s and were discussed whether or not to continuing economic growth would inevitably lead to several environmental degradation and societal collapse. So what this means that is it argues that the economic growth where a country pursuing to develop their economic growth, whether will lead to environmental collapse or degradation, which harm to the environmental what we have living in our earth. And sustainable development is the organizing principle for meeting human development goals while simultaneously sustaining the ability of nature system to provide the natural resources and ecosystem is service on which economy and society depend. So this is where it's whether the sustainable development means that able to have a continuously economic growth in a country or even in a globe where they able to gain a very great, but without really harming the environmental. Okay, the next one, the essence of the form of the development for the sustainable development can show from here this figure, which includes the economy, environment, and social community, where these 3 aspects are very important to contribute the sustainability development. So which means these 3 elements is have to balance within to provide the sustainability of development. So which means if we have a better economy, then we might have to consider the environmental aspect, and same goes with the social community. So many of the culture over the course of the human history have recognized the needs for harmony between the environmental, society, and the economy. Now, where the sustainability development, also known as the environmentally sustainable economic growth. So this one, it's have to achieve the balance and harmony between the environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and the social community sustainability. And the second part is the importance of the sustainable development. There have 5. The first one is to provide essential human needs, where, as we know, for around this year, the population of the earth has increased to 800 billions. So which means the explosion of the population means we'll have more scramble for the limited life essential, such as food, shelter, water, and the most important, the air that we every day have to breathe on it. And if the government or in a country's government insists to utilize the fossil fuel basis resources of the energy instead of renewable and sustainable option, then will be costly and effect to environmental that will be bad for in our future and the next generation. Second is from the aspect of the agriculture requirement. A growth or population means the agriculture must be catch up, where the population of the total amount of the population of the earth has grown, which means more and more resources are being needed to be consumed. So it is very crucial and important to upgrading the agriculture method and more sustainability to feed every mouth of in the world. The third one is the manage climate change. So as we know that climate change is very crucial issue since after 2020, the COVID-19, and a lot of the countries have been take note, and especially for the UN nations, even have proposed agreement, which is the Paris Agreement to achieve the climate change to lower down the emission gases and develop and sustain more renewable resources energy. So this is one of the crucial point that able to reduce the use of the fossil-based resources like oil, natural gases, and coal to produce energy for the daily consumption. The fourth one is the financial stability, where sustainable development practice have to ability to create more financial sustainable economy across the globe, where developing countries cannot fully access fossil fuels that can be leveraging renewable forms of energy to power their economies. So from here, from the development of the renewable energy technology, these countries can create sustainable jobs and posted to finance jobs based on the fossil fuel technology. So in this term, it's to provide more equal development across the globe, no matter it's developed countries or developing countries, where mostly developing countries has less technology or less resources than developed countries. So in this term, able to provide a more financial stability that developing able to access new kind of industry, they able to generate a more sustainable energy or even more sustainable development growth in their country. And fifth one is the sustainability biodiversity, where unsustainable development and overconsumption practice are greatly to impact the biodiversity. So which means overconsumption may lead to wasted or unused consumption. So for example, in most of the developed countries, they mostly consume a lot of food, but in another way, they will wasted a lot of food, where other places they did not have much food to feed their bellies. So this is one of the important parts or important issues that to sustain overall globe of the economy, more sustainability development. The third one is the sustainability development goals. For the third part, we can see that this is one of the UN nations have raised in 2015, which are called SDGs. which means sustainable development goals, where it's to raise this goal in overall for the globe in the countries to protect the planet and ensure by then 2030 all people enjoy the peace and prosper. And there have 17 SDGs to integrate to recognize the action in one area to influence the outcome of one another countries, to make differences and make effort to change the economic growth in more sustainability way. Here are the 17 goals to transform our economic growth in global scale. The first one is no poverty. So in this term, because some of the countries has higher income and other countries may be low. So from here to ease the poverty in all countries, to have at least everyone in the world able to get themselves to feed, to have a shelter and education. Second is zero hunger, saying it's quite similar to the first one. And the third one, to have a good health and well-being, where the hospitality and the medical resources are able to reach for every countries of the citizen. Fourth one is the quality of education. Fifth is the gender equality. And for the fifth one, it might be crucial, for example, like India. As I know, for India country, most of the women only unable to have a fully education, and only about 10% of the women able to enter the workforce, and only about less than 10% of the women are educated. So this is the one of the crucial to remove the inequality in the gender. The sixth one is clean water and sanitization. The seventh is the affordable and clean energy. The eighth one is the decent work and economic growth. Eight is the industry, innovation, and infrastructure. 10 is the reduced inequality. 11 is sustainable cities and communities. So for this one, as we know, I think it's very crucial for the developing and development countries, especially urban areas, where most of the countries that has a lot of urban cities may have a lot of opportunity, while the village or inland area have less opportunity and less sustainable development. So in this case, has to be in more equal. 12 is the responsible consumption and production. So for this case, it's more overall from producer, manufacturer, until the consumption and the user of the food or service or product, where, for example, like plastics. If a company are aware for the environmental aspect, they might have to produce a more sustainability way to produce the plastic bag, where able to digest and reuse, or even able to avoid any misconsumption to pollute our earth. The 13 is the climate action, and 14 is life below water, 15 is life on land, and 16 peace, justice, and strong institution, and 17 is the partnership for the goals. Okay, this is the all 17 sustainable development goals, which has been raised by the UN nations. And this is the last part, challenges of the sustainable development. Okay, there are the mainly 6. I don't think only these 6, but may have more, but the most of the biggest is these 6. The first one is the financial resources, especially for the developing country or low developing countries, where they are having lack of financial resources, unable to transit from agriculture economic basis or industry culture basis to more high-tech technology, where maybe they still rely on more natural resources like fossil fuel to generate their energy, or coal burning to generate their energy. And second one is war-torn countries, where this means is when the country is in the war, the government in that country unable to focus the sustainability development as their main object or main aspect to progress this matter. Instead, they might have to figure out the harmony and the peaceful in the country. And the third one is the natural occurrences. Natural occurrences can be, say, one of the natural disasters such as tsunami, earthquake, or any other disaster or flood. Also able to categorize in this area. So for example, like Japan also known as one of the activist volcano area, where they unable to really generate nuclear plant. But even though for Japan they have nuclear plant, but in how do I say, in a positive way or in the actual right way, Japan is one of the country is not suitable to plan or establish nuclear plant, because they have the places they are within is a highly active volcano places. So it's unable to transform Japan country to use nuclear energy. So the fourth one is the governmental conflict between immediate profit and investment. So in this case, where the government or a country unable to transform or accept a new technology or new kind of transformation of sustainable development industry. For example, like it's Islamic countries, some such as Iraq or Saudi Arabia, which they mostly have highly resources in fossil fuel and oil and gas. But as we know, oil and gas that produce a lot of emission gases and methane and carbon dioxide. But for Saudi Arabia and Iraq kind of this country, they are unable to abandon the resources they are able to gain most of their profit or their income to change to another sustainable energy. So this is one of the way they might have a conflict between the investment and between the sustainable development choices. The fifth one is the corruption, where the corruption is the one of the biggest issue when a country have to change or have to adapt sustainability of the changes they are faced, where corruption will lead to countries will be less development and unable to transform and change their economy to more high value. And last but not least is lack of effort at a municipal level. So the corruption and the sixth one is kind of have a related and connection here. But for the sixth one is the government or the policymaker did not foresee the future of the countries that have to be adapt sustainable energy or sustainable development measure. So they did not take much of the focus or effort to do the transformation for the sustainability of the country growth. I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think Xiu Ting always good. It's always good. Now I'm very interesting. Okay. Hi, Xiu Ting, could you do me a favor? Please
Yeah.
turn the slide on the page of the SDG goals. SDG, okay? SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. Before.
This one?
Oh, yes, this one. Okay. We often mention the SDGs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the details? I think most of you, including me, are not know the detail. No, in detail. We can see that there are so many. Okay.
Mhm.
The first one, I think that is the poverty reduction. Okay. Poverty reduction. Okay. And the second one is about the food. Okay. The food. Also, we can see that the 13th is the climate change. Okay. These are the peace, justice, the strong institutions. Okay. We can see that there are so many goals in SDGs. Okay. And I think each item should our human being to endeavor for it. Okay. Especially for those who are from the least developing countries. Some of the countries in Sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, thank you, Xiuting. Okay, send your slide to me. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. You can stop your screen sharing. Okay. Okay. Who will be the next one? Who will be the next one? All of you have already finished. All right.
Teacher,
Hi.
it's Piling.
Bilin, what do you want to say? You want to deliver the speech again?
Yes, I would like to deliver a speech, another topic which you have taught previously, and I
Okay.
didn't present yet. So I would like to present the technology
Okay,
gap.
please.
Yeah, I'm gonna present this.
Okay,
for you.
share your screen with us.
All right. Okay. Do you see my PPT yet, teacher? My
Right
PowerPoint?
now, no.
No, yeah.
Nothing
Nothing.
on my screen.
Okay. They need to wait for a while.
Okay, now this time it's okay.
I'll make it quick because okay, my PPT won't be that length. We have a long length. It's a very brief PPT. It's about technology gap and product cycle. But first and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself. Okay, it's me, Danny, again, and today I'd like to present this technology gap and also the product cycle. As a reminder, teacher has already taught us this topic before previously. So for my presentation, it will be like a revisions back. Okay, and for technology gap model, it is a model that is being used among modern country in the industrialized countries such as America, Japan, and many other European countries. So the terms industrialized is actually based on innovations, which means that the more advanced the country is, the better their innovation is. Why do we have this kind of definitions? It's because innovations is a production process of a new product. Okay, without innovation, we can't create a new thing. Okay, without new technology, we can't let our society to progress into a better future. So innovation is the key of an industrialized country. Okay, so every trade is based on this innovation of like introduce a new product that never ever people had invent. Like for example, you can see in our slide here, there's a telephone. From the phone that you can see the old version, old school desktop phone ringtone, until it evolves into a smartphone like we currently using right now. Okay, this is what we call as innovations. Okay, easy. And to talk about innovations, okay, we talk about innovation. It's carry out, it's been produced through technological changes. Okay, so during the changes, there will be monopoly. There will be monopoly, but this type of monopoly won't be that long. Okay, that's why we call it as temporary monopoly. So during this stage, they'll create profit, okay, to the inventor or the person who invents it, or even a company or a nation. Okay, no matter it's a firm or a nation or even an individual, if you have the innovations to create this, okay, then you have the monopoly power, okay, which others they can't produce where you can produce. Okay, so in nowadays, monopoly is being carried out through copyrights and also patents. Like you guys can see in this slide, there's Intel, there's McDonald's. Okay, these symbols is being monopoly by this company, where you can't, I mean, it was being protected, and protected, their right is being protected by the copyrights law. And also the Intel, they have their own technology where other country or other firm, they can't 100% copy it. Okay, because this innovation is belong to theirs. And let me give you guys an example, like for this country, and you guys are familiar with, is the United States of America. So as we all know, US dominates certain commodities, okay, certain technologies, when they carry out the technological improvement, and they have, during in the global trade, they export a lot of high technological products to many countries. Okay, to be precise, most of the exports is through developing country, those developing country. Okay, and the US, the people, the Americans, they own a lot of copyrights and patents. Okay, so that's why their country is categorized as advanced country or industrialized country. Okay, and they get to monopolize a lot of businesses and trade, okay, through this export, okay, to other nations. Like for example, like my country, I'm from Malaysia. Malaysia is a developing country, as you guys are not familiar with, and America is a developed country. It's already a developed country. So where they export, like for example, like previously I told you guys, the Intel, the laptop technology, everything, okay, these things they'll export towards Malaysia, and they'll sell it, because our country can't really produce this kind of thing, and they have the technology. So this type of advantage actually occurs, okay, in global trade. So the question is, will this trade advantage be forever? Will it sustain? Eventually, no. Okay, a lot of these advantages will actually last, will actually not going on, because importing countries, especially those developing countries, they will absorb, and during this import, okay, after they have import all those technology, they will actually get to learn, okay, how to produce, how to make this kind of items and commodities in the end. And later on, they will try to conquer the global market later on. Okay, those, when I'm talking about conquering the global market later on, I'm talking about those developing country. Okay, because they get to absorb and learn, okay, the technologies. So, and then they can use it to produce the exact, like, same product in the end, just like other industrialized country. And when we talk about this, we have to talk about the product cycle model. Okay, for this model, it means that when a high skill labor is required to manufacture or to make a new product which is produced, as product became mature, where everybody has the needs, okay, and it needs to when there's a market to that really have high how do I say, needs, they have a high needs on this certain product, this is where low skill laborers will be introduced, and for their comparative advantage, okay, you shift from those innovating country, the country that they actually create this thing, and this advantage will shift to the imitating country. Okay, so let me give you guys an example, like what is this kind of a comparative advantage shift, like during the last century, where US is the industrialized country, where in Asia there's a country called Japan. Okay, there's a country called Japan where they have just recover from the World War II, and they are still not so advanced. They are still developing their economy compared to the US that they already developed. And US, they import a lot of those commodities like cars, aircons, and televisions to Japan. And this is where Japan, they start to imitate, and they try to learn this kind of technologies, productions from the US. And later on, they come out to create these items, this brand, okay, imitate those things from the US, and they learn it, like, and then they create a lot of brands like Honda cars, Toyota cars, and all those things. Yeah, and then this is where Japan started to get the advantage, and then they become industrialized. Okay, and innovating countries in the end will become more industrialized. Okay, and this is where their living conditions will improve, and then the labor costs, the wages of those workers will become more higher and higher, and therefore the labor costs also became higher and higher. Okay, this condition also happened in Japan and also Korea, okay, during the last century. And then the labor cost is cheaper. They found out that the labor cost is cheaper in other country, okay, the imitating country. Okay, so they sense that there are some country they are much more cheaper in labor costs, like for example in Southeast Asia, like in Thailand, in Malaysia, okay, in Philippines. So eventually they will actually build factory in those imitating country, okay, those cheap labor cost country, and then they will actually produce more, help them to produce more product of these things, and the commodities will become more cheaper. Okay, so what's the reason we learn this product cycle and the technological gap is because it has a strong correlation with the expenditure of research and development, and also the exports. And it also provides a guideline to innovate and imitate for others country. Okay, and this is the H-O theory and the product cycle model, and we would like to do some comparison. What is the difference between these two? Okay, so H-O theory is a type of a comparative advantage static. Okay, we use to only examine a nation's advantage in productions, like such as like for example, which country has more advantage in produce rice, like Thailand, for example. Thailand has this kind of comparative advantage if you want to compare with like Malaysia, for example. So Thailand has this comparative advantage, so they'll produce more rice and they'll export it to other country. This is their advantage. And then product cycle is the explanation of dynamic comparative advantage, which is a more long-term model, is like a long-term model, because this kind of advantage, like I said before, is actually can shift. Okay, this advantage, comparative advantage, will actually shift. So who knows, one day that a country that having the advantage of producing rice will start to shift to another thing, other commodities. They'll try to produce another thing, while another country will then replace its place to produce rice, and then they export it, like so on, like that. So yeah, that's all. This is the graph. I think teacher already let you guys see this. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much, teacher.
Okay, thank you, Bilin. I think it's okay. It's okay. Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Too
Thank
long.
you. Thank you,
Too long I
Bilin.
didn't
Okay.
do presentation already.
Okay. Okay. I see. Okay, I think yeah, our next class I want to give you assignment. In this class we just talk about the terms of trade and the relations between the relation between the international trade and economic growth. We analyze the case of the small countries. Okay. Just because at the very beginning of this class, I mentioned that so many of the students, my past students, they like this topic to analyze you to set up some model to make some quantitative analysis and to set up the models or introduce some models to do some research in this field. Okay, just now I want you to take your nation as example. Okay, to talk about the relations between the international trade and the economic growth in your country. Okay, also I require you to tell us the change or the dynamics of the terms of trade in your country. Okay, I think it is a very interesting. You have to go to you have to go and find some data to prove your study. Okay, I think it is very interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, it's very
Okay.
interesting.
Very good. Another thing is that I like you to learn from Beating or some others or the Billing. They often use the data or graphs to in their speeches. Okay, I need you to use more graphs or tables to prove your standpoint. Okay, it is very interesting for the would-be businessman in the future in the field of international trade.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We often use the big data to make an analysis. Okay, and it can persuade your audiences. Okay. I want you to do this. Okay, I want you to do this. Okay, I think it is very interesting. Okay, now based on your research, we can find the position of your country in the global value chain. Okay, in the global value chain. Okay, and for the small countries, some of the academias, they've already shown us their conclusion that the international trade does promote or accelerate the economic growth for the small nations. But it is not the case with the large countries, large countries such as China, the United States, and EU countries and EU. Okay, so I need you to make analysis on your countries, on your country. Okay, and we can because all of you are from very different nations. Okay, we can after your presentation we can make a comparative studies. Okay, and to see whether we can get to the same conclusion. Okay, as the academias or as in our textbooks. Okay.
Okay.
Are you clear? Hi, are you clear?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Okay. I want to end our course a little bit earlier today. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay. And have a good weekend. Okay.
Bye bye.
Okay, thank you,
Bye-bye.
teacher. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.